Well, good evening to members of committee and welcome to February the 8th Council Committee meeting of the town of Petawawa. Welcome to everyone. A little chilly out there in the last couple of days. And I think we got kind of good news as far as going back to the green, I think today by the Premier. So that's good news. No presentations tonight. And so with that, we'll go to the activity report for the fire department. Who's making it, Chief or Deputy Chief?
Your Worship, I'm going to defer to the Deputy Chief to present, and I'll be here if there's any questions.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Your Worship and member of council. The activity report for January 2021. We had a total of 11 incidents throughout the month. We had an incident, 2 chimney fires, one on January 3rd, where the crews had a clear blockage. The stovepipe was blocked. And on the January 14th, the crews searched for a chimney fire, and it ended up the resident was concerned due to rapid growth of the fire when they lit it. On January 10th, our crew responded for a car versus moose on Highway 17, just out by Landry Crossing. There was one patient in care of the county paramedics when we arrived. The crews just made the scene safe and then returned to station. On January 16th, the crews responded for a vehicle fire. It wasn't an actual vehicle on fire, it was just due to some spillage of fluid on the manifold of the engine, created some smoke. Crews investigated that and then left the scene. On the 21st of January, our crews responded for a truck that caught fire, but fortunately they were able to extinguish it prior to our arrival. Passerby stopped to help the driver. Crews ended up actually pulling a hose line off and putting out the hot spots and making sure that the fire was completely extinguished. We had 2 fire alarms, both one on January the 11th, one on January the 18th. One was due to smoking material, and the second one was due to cooking. We had a smell of gas on January 9th. The crews, they could smell something burning in the home. They searched the home and they found a plastic bag that was in the blower it was smoke in the house, but they found a burnt plastic bag that was in the furnace blower. We had a structure fire on January 28th, a commercial structure that caught fire. The crews were challenged with obviously the elements, how cold it was, trying to keep our hose lines from freezing and our pumpers as well, and our personnel. And they did a great job containing that fire. There was high winds on the 28th, so there was we had everything against us, but they did an excellent job. We had a carbon monoxide detector sounding. The crews responded to a patient that was with the county paramedics. We actually had the Dawn air packs and enter the residence, and the crews found 6 marine batteries that were being recharged. We removed the batteries from the home and advised the owners to charge them in a garage. It's pretty unsafe having batteries inside of homes due to these batteries can give off hydrogen gas, which is very flammable, especially if it's in a small compartment area. So we educated the owner on that and parted the scene. And last, on January 31st, we responded for smoke in the area of Dorn Road, and it was a wood furnace when the crews discovered where the smoke was coming from. For the fire prevention report, we didn't have much through the month due to the COVID restrictions, but our crews did conduct one inspection on a commercial occupancy. So our smoke alarm and our CO count is 12. There was 12 residents that were checked in January, and we still are at 923 for our open air burn permits. Training was seized again due to the COVID, and we're hoping to get that going there next week when everything starts to lift, get our personnel back into the swing of things with training. For maintenance, there wasn't much maintenance. We just had minor repairs for a vehicle. We are maintaining our generator down at Station 1. It's being maintained by our EFA manager. And there was just minor repairs with the stations. And our self-contained breathing apparatus, just some minor repairs with face pieces and batteries. And we had a piece of equipment that was broken at the scene on the 28th, and it was repaired. For fire chief's comments, the fire chief participated in Ontario Fire Marshal teleconference on January 13th, and it was the announcement of the closure of the Ontario Fire College. And the chief and myself, we attended the budget workshop on the 26th. And that is my report for the activity report for January. Your worship, your mic is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just to pick up on the deputies, your fire chief comments on item number 1. The fire college is closing as of March. Is that permanent?
Yes, your worship, it is permanent. It was announced on the meeting that we had with the webinar with John Pegg, the Fire Marshal for Ontario. Just a little history on that. Currently, it's $65 to send someone for a course at the fire college, and that includes their lodging and their meals, regardless of the course that you're taking there. In addition to the fire college, there's 20 RTCs or regional training centers throughout the province. The unfortunate part of that is that Renfrew County, being the largest county in the province, does not have one of these RTCs as of now. Our closest RTC would be Clarence Rockland, which means that if they are to do away with the college at the end of March, we'll have no option but to send our personnel down to Clarence Rockland, which will mean mileage both ways, meals, accommodations, whether it's a 1-week course or a 2-week course. So you can just imagine the cost involved there. Plus the cost is anywhere from $300 to possibly $1,200 for the course, depending on which course you're going to be taking. So on January 12th, it came as an awful shock to the fire chiefs in Ontario when the fire marshal did announce that it would be closing as of the 31st of March permanently. There has been talks over the last 25 years off and on that the fire college might close. However, they had just undergone new renovations at the fire college in the dormitory areas over the last couple of years and updated a lot of the classrooms and facilities down there. So I think the biggest shock to the fire chiefs in Ontario was that the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs was not consulted on this prior to them making the decision to close. There was no plan put out in terms of their idea of modernization and regionalization of these training centers to ensure that firefighters have accessibility to them. So on February 3rd, our PAC, which is our Zone 6, which is all the fire chiefs from Kingston to Cornwall to Ottawa to Deep River, we had a virtual meeting with the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs president and made our thoughts known to them. So it's been an ongoing process. We have another meeting on the 17th, Wednesday the 17th, with the Fire Marshal John Pegg again. And at that time, we hope that he has more information available to the fire chiefs in the province in terms of what the plan actually is.
So Chief, maybe you could tell me, what's the rationale? Is it funding? Is it no alternative? What's the go-to other than these regional training centers, which we don't have one? You say there's a number of them in the province. This is the first time I've heard about this, and normally something of this, I suppose, magnitude would be the way to say it. I'd normally hear something, or there would be some rumbling at the county or other, 17 municipalities there. I haven't heard anything about this. So this is as big a shock to me as it is to perhaps yourselves when you heard that. What is the rationale behind why they're closing it?
I think it's basically the cost of operating a fire college, and you have to admit that $65 is an unrealistic fee to charge for a week when you're providing meals and accommodations and instructors and the facilities for the courses. So, I mean, that's something that should have been looked at years ago by the government or by the fire marshal's office or whatever. They should have been putting forth a more realistic cost to go to the college. I totally understand with the modernization of equipment and technology that we have available to us that a lot of courses can be delivered online through regional training centers. The point I made when we had our PAC 6 meeting to the president of the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs was the fact that the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office has never given us a clear and concise agenda for regional training centers or an itemized list in terms of what is actually required to have a regional training center. We have a beautiful training center in the town of Petawawa that we use for our firefighters. We've had town of Renfrew firefighters there, Laurentian Valley firefighters there. So, I mean, there's a lot of courses that we could actually be running out of our training center with the exception of live fire training. You need a burn tower, you need certain equipment to run a live fire training course. But with the exception of that course, there's multiple courses that we could be running in Petawawa for the whole county. It's interesting because I think the property that the Ontario Fire College sits on down in Gravenhurst is very valuable. It's a valuable asset to the government. And I think that is one thing that they could be looking at and that's what I have heard is that they've decided that as soon as March 31st comes, it closes, they'll dispose of whatever is there, and then the property is going up for sale. So but it's just, sorry.
So Chief, you have an association in Renfrew County of fire chiefs. Have they met and discussed that, or is it on the agenda to be discussed? As I say, this is not something that I've heard about. And have you scheduled a meeting for something like this, or talked about it, or going to get together? Or
we haven't had any meetings because of the COVID. We suspended all our meetings back then, last March. We haven't personally, but all the fire chiefs from the county were on the PAC 6 meeting, or the majority of them were there. They have access to that. And those are the people that we have to be talking to right now. Every fire chief, I guess, should be bringing it forth through their council, similar to what we have done through this. But the main thing is that the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, that they make their presentation to the Fire Marshal's office and demand some answers.
Okay, so just so you'll know, every other Friday we meet with John Yakubuski and bring forward issues and concerns and comments. And I'd be pleased to bring that forward if that's the wish of your fire departments. As I say, we know nothing about that, and it sounds as though this is an important structure or important process that is in place that we're losing out on. I don't disagree. $65, okay, even if it was $200 a person a week or something like that, I don't think anyone would be objecting to that. But maybe it's too late to try and recover that at this point in time. But I could try and get some answers from our MPP, who is the cabinet minister, and he's been very open with us and to bring forward any concerns that we may have. And this sounds as though one of those things that will probably be brought forward from more than just the town of Petawawa, but from other fire departments within the county.
Well, on behalf of the Petawawa Fire Department, I would certainly appreciate any help that we can get. And that if you can talk to John Yakubuski, I would appreciate it. And I know all the other fire chiefs would also. Sure.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you very much for that. As I say, this is a bit of a shock to me. I hadn't heard that was being closed down. Open up for questions of the report. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief Knott and Deputy Chief Craig for the information. And yes, Mr. Mayor, I totally agree with you. I think it's very important that we continue to put pressure on the Ontario Fire Marshal. I think it's very important. And Chief Knott and Craig, I just want to It's so nice when I'm out in the public at my work or just even walking, and the comments I'm getting about, I know how busy, you can just tell by looking at your report, how busy the fire department has been. I'm hearing how professional the team is at the fire hall, how well trained and well equipped they are. It's so nice to hear these. I respect the fire department working these conditions and what all's been going on with COVID and the stress of everything. But a very good job, and please pass my comments on. It's very well appreciated, and so nice to hear those comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Murray.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Teresa, then James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just through you to Chief Knott. Chief, going back to your comment that you made earlier with respect to the facilities that we have that may be able to be looked at as a potential training site, what would be the process, or is that something that the mayor can help out with as well? I guess looking at the process to get that recognized, to get the facility looked at, because it's certainly, if we've got a good asset there, and if it can be something that not only our fire department can use, but other fire departments, we may be able to continue along and not having to take our folks too far off-site to train, and utilizing our valuable asset that we have. So just, is there something that we can do as a council to move that yardstick forward? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. James?
Thank you, Mayor Sweet. Question for the deputy about the report. 12 firefighters responded to a false alarm, and typically we don't have 12 responding to an alarm. 3 to 5 is more typical. Was something unusual about that call on the 18th?
Councillor Carmody, no, there wasn't. It was just that it was an all call, so it was open to all members of the department. So we have an all call from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. So we don't know who's going to be showing up. So that's why the numbers are high for that particular incident.
Thank you.
Okay, further comments on the report or questions? Matthew?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Craig. Craig, could you just tell me where the closest live fire burn facility is? Is there one on base at all?
No, there isn't. The closest live fire for us would be the college. I'm not sure of what the EOET or the Eastern Ontario Emergency Training Academy, I'm not sure what they have, if they do have a live fire. But currently we're working on putting together a sea container in our training area with live fire capabilities, where we'll be burning with Class A products. But that's what we're looking at right now. But it's between Gravenhurst and Kingston. I know Kingston has a live fire facility out in Bath Township, I believe. But those would be the closest. So we're trying to put something together. It's not modernized like most burn areas, buildings. A lot of them are propane powered now, but it's quite an expense, and it might be something we could look at in the future.
Okay, thank you. Further on the report? If not, I need a mover and a seconder to accept the report. Murray, seconded by James. All in favor? It is carried. And again, on behalf of council, thank you. It's been tough month, obviously. That was a big fire down at Hardy's. I was down there, but I found out nobody was hurt at the time, so I left you to do your job, and then came back later the next day, and you were still trying to find out what was happening. So miserable weather. It was pretty slippy just trying to walk from my car to into the parking lot, but good job to everyone. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. With that, community services.
Mr. Mayor, maybe before I get into the report, based on discussions we had earlier this meeting with the CAO, so everybody's aware that we are in the starting Wednesday back into the green color framework in terms of the province and its current COVID safety model. So in terms of the Civic Center or community services, we'll be moving ahead through green, which was everything we were doing before Boxing Day came around and the new lockdown came into effect. So we have today reached out as soon as we found out what was happening. Shortly after lunch, we reached out to a number of our users, and almost all of them responded right away with, "Yeah, we want our normal ice time, and we're coming back, and we can start as soon as you'll let us in the building," kind of thing. So we've also reached out to minor hockey, and while they're having a meeting this evening, they are indicating to us that they're full go, and they'll finish out the remainder of their season with a schedule that they had established prior to Boxing Day. And so, you know, on our first look today, we'll gather some more information tomorrow, but on first look today, it looks like we'll have a healthy amount of ice rented, and we'll close out the remaining 6 weeks of the season up until the last week of March, which then we'll take out the ice, and starting April 1st, we'll start with our floor replacement project. So we're proceeding in that fashion. In terms of the hall, we'll start tomorrow morning to reach out to some of our regular hall users to see if they have interest in coming back. You know, services in terms of programs and things like that, Colin and Shallon will start to reach out to some of their groups and some of the people that had made reservations for different types of programs to see if they still have interest, and we'll start to ramp things back up as we sort of finish off our winter season and then move into our spring season. We're anticipating that we'll likely stay in green for a little while. It is the lowest of the various colors that are within the provincial framework, and you know, we're kind of anticipating that we'll remain in this green color up until, you know, people start becoming vaccinated and numbers get low enough that the province can start to consider moving people into zero restrictions. So we're proceeding in that fashion, and you know, likely to be more to come over the next, you know, week or two as we you know, start to ramp back up again and invite people back and start taking bookings and that sort of stuff.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions of Kelly on that particular subject of lockdowns and opening up and going for coffee in the morning and good stuff like that? Anything? We're all happy. Well, good for.
It can be confusing.
Oh, yes, I don't disagree with that. There's,
Oh yeah, for
this
sure.
is open, that's not. You can't go here, but you can go there, and you can do this and you can't do that. And best really just to stay at home as we've been doing for the last 6 years, or it seems like that, right? Anyhow, we're moving ahead, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? And
Yeah.
General Hillier's getting the vaccinations out, so that's pretty good too. Okay. There's no
Okay.
questions on that. Kelly, go ahead with your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so January's been a quiet month. Of course, we haven't entertained a lot of rentals. We have permitted a couple because they're permitted through the provincial guidelines. For the most part, staff have been working away trying to get ahead on things, or cleaning up you know, policies, procedure documents that we've been meaning to review for a while, attending some webinars and things of that nature. But with the passing of budget and now moving into green, of course, it always works out that way. We're super busy now, so yeah, we're looking forward to moving forward. Under admin service, I'll just mention one thing. You'll see a reference to Live Bar and Future Sign. Future Sign is a company that we've been dealing with for many years. They're the ones who put up the displays in various locations in the Civic Center. The main one in the arena lobby has advertising around the perimeter, and then it provides dressing room assignments. So when you walk through the lobby, you can look, it'll say what dressing room you're in for what time you have booked. There's one in the lobby corridor when you come in that advertises library programs as well as advertising for local businesses. But they've partnered with a company in the States that's actually owned by a Canadian gentleman that I've talked to on the phone, called Live Barn. And what Live Barn is, it's a video, a camera that gets placed in your arena, and they sell subscriptions to that. So if you're, I'll give you an example. So if you're a parent or a grandparent, and your grandchild has a hockey game at 8 o'clock, and it's a cold winter night, and you really don't feel like going to the arena, you can sign up to Live Barn and watch the game in your living room. So it doesn't cost us, the municipality, anything. The company provides all the equipment. They do all the install. They take care of all the behind the scenes administration. As a municipality, we have the ability to basically black out if there's a user that doesn't want to have anybody watch their game or their practice, then we have the ability to black that out. But it's a neat little program. So we've had a couple meetings, and we're doing some due diligence and talking to some other municipalities in Ontario that use it. And we're looking towards next season, obviously. And it's a neat little program. It has been around from before COVID, but COVID has made it super popular for obvious reasons. Certainly it would just be another service that we'd be able to provide to our users and the residents of Petawawa. We see a lot of value in it. So again, it doesn't cost us anything, but we're still doing our due diligence. So I'll keep council apprised as we move along in the process.
So the person who's downloading it, they pay for the service? Is that how it works?
That's right, yeah.
And is that a monthly fee or per game or per monthly fee? Eh?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
And the fees are extremely reasonable. Really, the Live Barn people, they make their money off the advertising, just like anything else these days. And so, yeah, it's a really, really neat little product. And yeah, I think residents would really like it and take advantage of it if we had something like that to offer.
Good.
So we'll keep doing our due diligence, and I'll bring further information forward at future committee meetings. Under tourism services, we continue again to work with OVTA, and we've already began to plan some video sessions that we can use to promote Petawawa and the Petawawa area in terms of tourism. So that's moving forward. Under parks and facilities, you'll see a reference to a staff development schedule. One of the positives of COVID is a lot of training is now happening online, and for many, many years, we've sent people away to training sessions, and the training session itself is the inexpensive part of the training. It's the hotels and the meals and the mileage that really adds up. And so with COVID, a lot of the different types of training sessions that we normally send staff to are all online. So it's saving us a lot of money. It's actually giving us an opportunity to train a few more people than we normally would have budget for. So, you know, while the chief was talking about some of the, the training challenges they have, COVID certainly creating some good challenges in terms of a lot of the training that community services does. You'll see our toboggan hill has been open all through the month of January. Our outdoor rink, we opened it up on January the 11th. Of course, we opened it under the current restrictions that we're in now. Those will change on Wednesday, and we'll be able to allow hockey to be played on our outdoor rink starting on Wednesday. So we're in the process of switching out our signs and putting the new information up on the website, and we'll be back to a more regular type of operation at the outdoor rink starting on Wednesday. We still have player limits. We still will be asking people to mask and distance and things like that. Normal, safety practices during this period of COVID, but at least, guys will be able to get their sticks and pucks back out. Our dog park remains closed. We had to close it on January the 12th. Not sure if we can open it or not 100%. I have reached out to the health unit to get some clarification on that. Hoping to hear back in the morning from Mr. Canelo. And just lastly, the Kinder Connection Nursery School, with the opening of schools here in Petawawa, opened as well on January the 25th. Under program services, you'll see that we applied to another student experience program grant. We've been fairly successful with that grant over the years, and if we're successful again this year, it'll enable us to hire another tourism ambassador, which has been a real real help in terms of providing services to visitors and lesson programs and things like that at the point. We also assisted the Heritage Village in January with their grant applications for summer staff. They, of course, will be reassessing their services in terms of going back to green, so they will be able to do some of the things that they did last summer, which is good news. And then just lastly, I'd like to reference Cabin Fever 2021. So last committee meeting, I mentioned that we were working on some virtual events. So Colin's been able to line up 4 virtual events, and they're listed on your report with the dates and the times. If you go to the town's website, under community service and under events and festivals, all the information is there. If anybody wants to register, they can do so through the website and through the links that are on the website. The event itself is being run by a company that we've done a lot of work with over the years, actually for decades. They've assisted us with different types of events. And so Colin's figuring he's pretty well ready to go, and he'll be a part of those events as they operate. And so advertising's gone out in its usual places. It's been on the radio for a few weeks now. And so we're looking forward to hosting those events. And if you have any interest, like I said, all the information's on our website. In terms of going into green, we're so close up against this transition to green that we just, we've had a couple of questions today about, well, are you gonna do any other kind of events? Well, we really don't have enough time to pull anything together at this point. Not to mention, we are in green, so we're not back to normal. There are limitations. Indoor events are limited to 50 people, and there's still COVID protocols and distancing and those sort of things that have to be adhered to. So we were going to proceed with the virtual events that we have planned, and hopefully people enjoy them. Under rental activity, you'll see we only had two activities. They're types of activities that were allowed through this latest set of restrictions. So we had some supervised child visitations through social services on a number of dates. And of course, we are allowed to host blood donor clinics, and we held a blood donor clinic on January the 12th. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Open it up for questions. James.
Thank you, Mayor Sweet. I like the live barn opportunity. That sounds really promising. Of course, I was thinking about privacy issues, but you mentioned that a number of municipalities already have this in place, and I'm sure some of them are probably fairly large and have budget to get legal opinions on matters like this. So are we going to be able to avail ourselves of that type of stuff? Like, not that we're going to get their legal advice. However, I'm sure that they've had or seek out legal advice.
So that's the process we're in right now. We would, in the coming weeks, we will talk to the municipalities that they've identified and call up those municipalities and have a talk about the product and how it's going and if they've had any issues. We'll also follow up with our insurance provider to get their feedback on it. In my discussions with them, they've stated to me that it's not much different than if you have CCTV in your facility. We don't have CCTV in our facility, but many other facilities that I've operated in the past have. And operating CCTV in terms of legislation, really you just need to make sure that the public's aware that CCTV exists within your facility. In terms of privacy, as long as people know that's there or not, then it gives them options to decide, whether they want to be in the building or not, or videoed or not, or participate in terms of live barn, participate in that program or not. So likely on us, we'd have a duty to have signage in various locations in the facility, letting people know that we do subscribe to live barn, and there is a video camera operating in the facility. We would amend our rental terms and conditions to include that information, and that's how we go about in closing the loop in terms of the the legal obligations that we'd have in operating something like that.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, further questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Pardon me, need a motion, pardon me, sorry. It's a Teresa, seconded by Gary. Yep, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed of any, it's carried. Thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll go to, I think it's Annette. Finance and Management, Annette. Please.
Okay, good evening. So you have before you my report in regards to the 2020 general water and wastewater budget funds. So what this report is to do is just to amend or to add some new amounts to be transferred into reserves for the 2020 year. As we go through the GL accounts and check on the amounts that were spent, there is some adjustments that need to be made. So the first item is for the reserve fund fire. That's being amended from $150,000 to $5,800.32 for the purchase of a bush truck item. So originally we had in the budget $150,000 to actually purchase the whole bush truck. Now, one of the items that were to be part of that bush truck was purchased, but as you are aware that the tender for the truck will go out in 2021. So the amount for this item is being taken from reserve. For development charges library, that's being amended from $20,000 to $12,200.38 for the repayment of infrastructure. What this is, we actually didn't have 20,000 in the development charges library amount at the end of 2020. So we've had to adjust that. So we've lowered that to the $12,200.38. Reserve Fund Civic Center Capital. We had budgeted in 2020 to take $180,000 from reserve for engineering work for the arena floor. We actually in 2020, the engineering work that was billed amounted to $43,550. So that is the amount we're taking from reserve for that. Reserve Fund Public Works, that is being amended from $65,000 to $62,116.37. And that is the actual cost to purchase the new truck. Reserve Fund Industrial Park Economic Development from $2,800 to $1,194.16 for office supplies. Again, this reflects the actual amount of office supplies purchased in 2020 that was to come out of reserves. Reserve Fund Industrial Park Economic Development from $145,000 to $0 for the container market. Based on the amount of expenditures in 2020 that was utilized for the container market, there was no requirement to withdraw any funds from the reserve. Development charges sewage. That is being amended from $609,245 to $191,416.90. And this is for the sewage plant capital and the Renfrew Street pumping station work. So this again is just to reflect what the actual amounts were that we could take from the development charges based on the actual expenditures in 2020. And in addition, the following amounts were to be new amounts transferred into reserve. So we have the $82,000 to be transferred into Reserve Fund Environment. And this is for the $82,000 that we had budgeted in 2020 for the at the Ottawa Valley Waste Recovery Center for the gas wells, and that amount wasn't required to be spent. So we are putting that into reserve and for environmental. Then we have the $34,446 is to be transferred into reserve administration for future policing expenditures as a result of a credit received during 2020. So this, we received the unbudgeted credit in 2020. We're putting this into a reserve fund, and we're actually in 2020 withdrawing a small amount of that, so to be used to purchase radar units.
Thank you, Annette. Discussion on any of those items? James?
Thank you, Mayor Sweet. Annette, with respect to the reserve fund for the library repayment of the loan that we have for infrastructure, we were almost finished paying that off. So does this mean that we're now almost plus $7,800 away from paying it off?
Yes, we have about, we will be finishing paying it off in the 20, as long as we have enough in the development charges at the end of 2021, we will be paying it off at the end of the 2021 year.
Okay. Further comments or questions on some of the recommendations? No? Received them, then I need a motion to accept the recommendations, please. James and Murray. No discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed of any? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, Annette, the FMO2 2021, the auditors.
Okay, so the recommendation that's being made in reference to this report is that in accordance with the Municipal Act 2001, Section 296, that Welsh be appointed town auditor for the period 2021 to 2025. So as per Section 296(1) of the Municipal Act, a municipality can appoint an auditor, a licensed auditor under the Public Accounting Act, who is responsible for annually auditing the accounts and transactions of the municipality. So the town's current auditor, Welsh, they were appointed by bylaw 101415 for a term of 5 years. And now that is set to expire with the completion of the 2020 audit. And an auditor cannot be appointed for a term exceeding 5 years. So Welsh has been appointed the town's municipal auditor for the town and its predecessor municipalities for over 50 years. They do understand what the working relationship with the municipality, and they have a full working knowledge of the municipal operations and our accounting system that we have. Staff from Welsh also assist the town with their capital asset management and accounting reporting. And in addition to the audit function, they provide the town with support on general operations matters such as payroll. We've had them help us with charitable donation legislation and the interpretation of various agreements and contracts. The amount in 2019, the amount that was expensed for auditing services was approximately $47,534, and this did include the water and the wastewater audit services. And according to the town's current purchasing bylaw, the council can secure professional services in the area of finance upon the recommendation of a designated official.
So you're happy with the work that's being done, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. For the last 50 years, it's been pretty good. Okay. Any comments or questions on the report? Well, you see the recommendation there. If you're comfortable with this, I need a mover and a seconder to accept the report and the recommendation. No? Deputy Mayor or Gary and Tom? No discussion, call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed of any, it's carried. There you go. Accounts payable. You want to pay the bills, do you, Annette?
Yes.
Any questions on the payable? Tom? Tom? I think you're muted, Tom.
There we go.
There you go.
Annette, check number 34002 to Macintosh Perry on January the 27th in the sum of $1,672.40. Salt and Sand Dome Phase 3. Do we have any more information on that? I thought that revision was be covered off free of charge by Macintosh and Perry. Is that not the case?
Okay, so this one right now, we do currently have under review.
Thank you.
Okay. Other comments on the report? Questions on the payables? Need a motion then to pay the bills. Murray, seconded by Matthew. All in favor? Opposed of any? It's carried. Thank you. Animal control. Don, please.
Thank you, Mayor Sweet.
I'll mute myself here.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. So for the month of January, animal control is fairly quiet with just 5 animals delivered to the SPCA for impoundment. The commissioners have been, again, quite busy for the month of January. They have been issuing warnings along for garbage for people not bringing their bins back from the road, and 2 written warnings for people depositing snow on the roadway and on private property. We received approximately $900 in revenue for parking tickets that were paid in January. And back to, sorry, my pages are a little mixed up there. I had to update the number of pet tags that were sold for the year 2020, as it was determined that that 23 tags were inadvertently sold to non-Petawawa residents. So the municipal address application within the DocuPet system has been updated to ensure this error does not occur again. So I've updated it to, we sold 2,299 pet tags, which was an increase of 57 pet tags over the year 2019. And obviously those 23 tags were refunded to the people who bought them in error. Okay. And I also just want to let the public know that a lot of our pet tags will be coming due at the end of February, and they have the option to renew online, or they can go on the telephone with DocuPet to call 1-855-249-1370. Or if they want to do it over the phone at the town office, again, they could call here and do that with their credit card online or with us, and we would do the transaction online for them. And the number at the town office is 687-5536. And there's also the option to put a payment in the night deposit box. And I can answer any questions.
So this pet tag thing is working well.
Yes, so far.
Okay, thank you. Questions? I see Matthew and then Teresa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Don. Don, how did you identify the pet owners that were still paying but have left the area?
Okay, There weren't people who left the area. They were, sorry, there, that's better. It happened to be, we had a couple of residents on the Garrison who got in, which they shouldn't be. We don't license pets on the Garrison. There was one from Laurentian Valley, you know, with the area where Doran Road, we meet with our boundary roads. And one was in Laurentian Hills, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Teresa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as a pet owner, I was quite impressed. I received an email notice letting me know that my pet tag was up for renewal. So it was a really straightforward process and helps keep me in, I guess, in the good books. So kudos to them. I also would like to just say that I've been stopped by a number of residents in the community with very positive feedback about the visibility of the commissionaires and about the work that's being done and the service that's happening. They're seeing them out on the weekends and during the weekday, and just a good level of I guess confidence in them. And so just on their behalf, thanks to the commissioners for the work so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Further on the report. Seeing none, I need a motion to accept the report, please. Mover to seconder. Teresa, seconded by James. No discussion. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed of any? It's carried. Thank you. Now we're on to taxi licenses.
Thank you, Mayor Swift. We have one taxi license application for the month of January, and it meets all the requirements within the taxi bylaw. I did extend the date for application until the end of February because of COVID. So I'm giving the taxi companies a little extra time to get their applications and renewals in.
Thank you. You see the recommendation that we approve the taxi license in accordance with the current taxi bylaw. I need a motion, please, to accept this report. Mover and a seconder. I see Tom and then Gary. All in favor? It is carried. Thank you. General matters. CEO?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing for closed?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Need a motion to adjourn, please. Murray and Matthew, all in favor? We're out of here. Thank you very much. So are we going to put a team into this trivia thing? Lots of hands gone up. There you go.
I think it's only teams of 4.
Yeah, and I think you have to go to somebody's house, do you not? It's party central for 4 people. There you go. Can't get into too much trouble with 4 people. Anyway, it's something to think about. It's all virtual, and it's, as I understand it, there's a multi, what do you call it? Multi question, or not a question, but multi answers, A, B, C, D type of thing to the questions. And it's independent, it's out of Ottawa, so it should be a little bit of fun. And I understand there's something to eat along with that, and so it'll be as good as we can make it because of the COVID thing. So get your teams together. We're all friends, right? Okay. Visit everyone. Lots to eat. I understand there's some joy juice involved with it, so there you go. Okay, folks. I'll see you next Tuesday, I guess. Eh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, good night all.
Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.